Welcome to Big Central. It's your boy Big Ev, aka Del Bacadon. It is Tuesday. We got February 27th. Leap year. I realize leap year this year. Big one.
Leap year.
But we are presented by DraftKings, the official sports betting partner of the NBA, and also Barstool Sports. DraftKings Sportsbook's new customers who deposit $5 or more get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 back in a bonus bet. What's a no-sweat bet? It's just like getting an offensive board. Miss your shot, you get an opportunity to score with a bonus bet back. You can also follow all of your favorite Barstool personalities are betting. You can follow what all of your favorite Barstool personalities are betting on by joining the Barstool betting group in the social section of the DraftKings Sportsbook app. I got picks in there every day. I'll have some more in there today. You can find them all there. It's under the social tab. Remember to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code PICKSCENTRAL, PICKSCENTRAL. New customers, like I said, get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. Only on DraftKings Sportsbooks with code PICKSCENTRAL. The crown is yours. Being a DraftKings partner, it's a beautiful thing. Here with Smitty, we got Dukes, Meek. I saw Steve back there a couple minutes ago. Booth. Nice show coming off the combine. There's some turmoil around the combine, the finish. Admittedly, I've heard about it. I didn't get to actually see kind of the thing they were doing, naming all the brands. But this is a show that we stand for fraud and order. It was a real thing. In real time, I remember it was a good series, and I thought it should account. Our guy got shafted, but
yeah, he did. He's allowed to get shafted. He's one of the guys that are allowed to get shafted.
He did get a hit off Trevor Bauer, though. Two, actually.
I was going to bring this up. So Trevor Bauer released that footage on his own.
Yes, it was his video, yes.
That might be the craziest thing that Trevor Bauer ever did.
Yeah. I was surprised as well to see.
Why?
What do you...
Why?
I mean, that just...
Why?
Honestly, what it really made me think was... Why did he agree to do this in the first place when he was a spot where, listen, not to get into the nitty-gritty of his situation, but it seemed to me at least like maybe there was an outside chance that a team might give him a shot. And I don't think getting Marty Mush getting 2 hits off you is a great way to sell yourself.
Not a good
to
look.
MLB GMs.
Not a good look at all. And to put it out there as content. Why, man? What do you do? He's a loose cannon. There's stories about him, obviously, his legal turmoil, but there are stories about him being like kind of psycho. Look up his workouts. Like he's just like
I feel like there's a lot of starting pitchers like that.
There are, but he's an extreme case.
I'm sure.
Why? Why would you do that when you're a free agent to show a former D3 baseball player just hitting a couple ropes? Like it was an inside-out swing, one of the hits. But, I mean, Marty was making contact, and why, Trevor? Why would you release that on your own?
Man, that's tough. And he even was, and I don't know if you watched the full thing. He was sitting there like he must have been on like a green screen or something, giving like his thought process behind the pitches. Yeah. Like we're going even deep where he's like trying to like work Marty Mush into like he wasn't just throwing like fastball. He almost realized he gave up the first hit and was like, I need to stop throwing. Marty was like hitting 95-mile-an-hour fastballs. Impressive to him, but
Trevor Bauer better be praying that Marty goes like 500 the rest of the series.
He absolutely. You can't be the only guy. It went 2 for 9 with a walk. That's like respectable. That's very respectable.
It's tough.
And they have like I don't know if people have seen. I was familiar with the batting cage. I've seen a few videos. The guys that work in there have done with these like
King of JUCO.
The King of JUCO. I was the one guy was kind of giving his commentary, and I think that's him, right? That's him. I've seen some
very funny.
Their YouTube videos and stuff. So I was familiar. I saw like some home run derby thing they did in that, and they have like basically in like a batting cage, but they have technology that basically shows like where the ball would land in a ballpark and how it would. So it looked like 2 solid hits he had. So
first of all,
that's
awesome.
He did better than I ever imagined. And check out the video series. I know he dropped the trailer for it. It's coming. I don't know if it's today or it's soon.
Yeah, it's coming, I think it's coming tomorrow.
It's coming tomorrow.
But with that, the kids growing up nowadays that have that technology to be in a batting cage and just see where a ball would land.
Yep.
I mean, you got fucking bush leaguers like myself growing up in the 90s just have to hit off a tee into a net just constantly, just pam, 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 the monotony of it. Now you can see where it fucking goes on a real field. That is awesome.
I remember when I was a kid, like trying out for the high school and making the high school or even like the middle school team was a big deal because at like the classic like suburban town, just a bunch of white kids, everyone plays baseball. And I remember like the coach at our middle school was obsessed with if you hit balls back up the middle. That was like he like came over that. Like if you just were hitting like, but even over it was people make jokes if you like blast one that I would love to see some of the shots that he was like just kind of whatevering about on like a machine like that probably like a home run the left field.
Oh yeah, he hit it 500 feet.
He's like, oh no, he's like, yep. His thing was if you basically hit the cage that the pitcher stands behind, that was like the ultimate. Like, oh my god, you can just hit balls back up the middle. You're like the best baseball player of all time.
Well, I had like Greg Gross as my little league hitting coach, who was a member of the 1980 Phillies. He was a pinch hitter, like extreme. Just telling you, shorten up your swing as short as possible. Just roll it over. Just fucking never hit anything.
Just choke up.
I've never choke up.
Choke
great
up.
Contact. Great contact.
It was funny. I was never a big choke up guy, but I remember the one time I actually started doing 0-2 count, I hit my only over the fence home run of my career.
Great feeling.
I'll take it. 0-2 count. But obviously we got a bunch of
shout out the combine. It was awesome.
Yeah, there was great content.
Get dicked.
Yeah, Marty. We had to stand up for our guy Marty. I think he got fucked, but great, very funny. Also, I mean,
shout out Clemmer.
Clemmer's performance. I mean, him on that bar.
You got the Pacheco Instagram story.
Yeah, Pacheco showed him some love. It's great caption. I mean, listen, he was digging. He was everything he had was in that 40. Him doing the bar, the bench press was so funny. I wish he just
instant note.
Listen, I wish for like just sake of like the content, even though it might have killed him, if he had just let it like hit his chest. But it actually might have literally killed him.
It would have went through it. Would have conclave.
It might have literally cratered his chest in.
You kind of know, you know when like someone, it was a scary sight.
Yeah.
When he put it up and you just know right away, like if that thing goes to his chest, that thing's not coming up.
Well, he held it with even, I forget who was spotting was it Clay Harbor, the other somebody else, or it was Francis was holding it, and he immediately could tell like if Francis lets go of this bar, this thing is just falling right through me.
It was kind of like the high school. Do you guys have a high school bench test for like football? And it was like the freshmen come in and you could tell like who didn't like lift a weight before, like probably me.
Yeah.
And it's just you're holding that thing up and you're just like this guy didn't lift all summer.
Yeah, he can't do can't do like the barometer.
Yeah.
But hey, everyone's got their own things. I mean,
Respect to him.
I'm glad I didn't get asked because a bigger guy people would expect me to throw that up. I don't know how many times I would have thrown it. It's been a while since I hit the weights.
It was also just so funny how confident he was walking up to it. Like not like he knew he would get it, but he was just like it was like kind of like yeah, I'm going first.
He knew.
Yeah, he almost weirdly was working with was kind of working with house money.
Yeah.
Because it was shocking seeing him hold the bar and realize that his arm was thinner around than the bar itself.
Yes.
It's not focused.
You could. I have small hands, and I feel like I could have went like this, like around his bicep.
It's amazing when you look at that, and I love Clemmer. I love him, but it's amazing when you look at that picture of his arms and then realize he still has the leg photo.
Oh, man. Well, I get a bunch of stuff. We talk about, real quick, we talked about yesterday, so I won't talk it too long, but just had to say with the court storm, I think Jay Billis' comments, I don't know if you saw it. He basically suggested that he said this would be the end-all be-all of stopping court storming if they basically let everyone storm one time and then basically just corral them and just arrest every single person. One of the most idiotic,
them like sheep.
Like someone had a great meme to it. I didn't think about this. It was the scene from Bronx. It goes, "Now you can't leave."
Yeah.
I mean, this man wanted to give like half the student body citations.
Yeah, that ain't flying.
It's one of those. It was so funny.
That is an old man.
I think, and he's someone who it bothered me more from him because he was someone who I felt like 8-10 years ago was so like in touch.
Yeah.
And then to say something so just totally out of touch, so like elitist, high horse. Like if you went to fucking, I don't know, just like jizz fuck state, you wouldn't have given a fuck about that. But because you went to Duke. Like you're Mr. Elitist, and we talk about Matt Painter and even Bill Self, a Kansas guy. It's only the elite teams don't want it because they're everywhere they go, they get stormed on if they lose.
And also, logistically,
and Kansas lost like 4 games on the road this year.
Logistically speaking, 1,000 kids rush the court, you ain't gonna arrest them. Unless you bring the National Guard in, you're not gonna be able to corral.
He literally was saying we need to get security and just let them storm and just surround them.
Yeah,
and then either arrest all of them. Which how do you have the imagine having the staff to arrest them?
Do you guys watch Game of Thrones? I'm thinking for anyone out there, Battle of the Bastards. It's like everyone's just storming in and then they just surround them. Yeah, that's legitimately what Jay Billis' plan.
It was I was like, you're gonna arrest like 400 people? Yeah. I was like, how are you gonna have in Durham, North Carolina? You're gonna have you don't even have 500 cops.
Nope. Exactly.
What are you gonna do? Exactly. Are you gonna arrest 400 people with like 20 cops? Like what? Or how many cops do they have?
400 people in like the prime shape of their lives.
Yeah, on staff. Yeah, versus a bunch of half the kids there are would be you're the fastest kid alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and they've still got testosterone and fucking. Yeah. They haven't put on all. They made
intramural basketball players just running circles.
They put on the freshman 15, but they haven't put on like the grown man 100. Like exactly. They're still a big run out there.
We have a Kyle Filipowski injury update.
Yeah,
I'm glad he brought that up. Yeah.
Nobody hates college sports more than people in college sports.
Correct.
Like the Jay Billis of the world. But here's the Kyle Filipowski.
Just a little sore.
Also, I didn't even realize this initially in the clip. Due to major injury, he said we're a little bit sore. 2 days after collision with a fan hobbled him. He's left sporting a bag of ice on his right knee after banging that leg into a leg of a fan. Also, it was his ankle, like yesterday.
His ankle to knee.
Now it's his knee.
I just gotta say, after yesterday, I said like at the risk of sounding like an asshole, I was a little bit like after the show, like, ooh, I probably shouldn't have like said that about injury. Fuck you, Kyle Filipowski. Fuck you.
Also, the fact that no one really bring up that. He basically shoved the guy. He totally just shoved him,
and his leg was out because you could make the argument that he was trying to trip him.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah,
I think if he seriously got injured by a 5'7" student, that would drastically hurt his draft stock.
I would.
If that person's injuring you, what's a 6'8" guy gonna do?
Yes, a 6'10" projected top the last mock I saw he was in the top 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean crazy. I just wanted to touch on that. We don't spend too long on it. Another thing I want to talk about quick too was the Knicks ending last night. Knicks big W over the Pistons.
Huge W over the last.
Big W over the Pistons.
Or the worst.
I know Meek was watching. I know Meek was
decade,
excited. I was excited,
including the process.
They had a tough fourth quarter, but they pulled it out in the end. I'll take the Knicks head off for a second. It's one of those things. No one's gonna get that mad outside of the Pistons because it's the Pistons, and they're the worst team in the league that I can remember in a long time.
No, I think I'm objectively that mad. I didn't have a wager on the game. I didn't just. I'm not a Knicks fan. I'm not a Pistons fan. That was ludicrous. That last sequence.
No, listen.
Just admit it. Just admit that it was fucking ludicrous.
The DiVincenzo no call was crazy. It was definitely.
That's just hard-nosed football right there. You can't say anything about it.
I said Clem had a great tweet. It was.
That is the refs not allowing the Knicks to lose at home to the worst team in the league. That's what it was.
He didn't lead with the crown of the helmet. Yeah. He made a firm.
What about the 4,000 before that?
I mean, that was the most egregious one.
Yeah, it was.
That's just hand fighting.
I mean, maybe it was. I'm gonna try to defend the refs, even though I hate refs. Maybe they were so pot committed to let the boys play. They had kind of just the sequences went willy nilly, and they just said, you know what, anything goes for this last. And then Brunson makes a great pass, and then they call the foul on the layup.
Being a ref is very hard.
Icing on the cake. It is tough.
That was the most obvious case of corruption I've seen in a while.
Yes, but see,
it was. So it just was.
But corruption, I feel like is. Listen, I don't.
Corruption. Can we play the clip?
No, they missed. I don't think
we can't.
We can't.
Yeah, I know we can't. I figured we couldn't.
Somebody's Reeves has to do a deep dive on just exactly how many fouls. There were at least 5 fouls.
Do you want to stand up and have me tackle you to reenact it?
yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Let Meek just spear you.
And I love the effort. I love DiVincenzo's effort. But what are we doing?
There's 2 things that make it corruption. And the first one I'm going to draw out is during the game in real time, I was like, I'm hand up. I don't watch the Pistons every night. But I was as high on Cade Cunningham coming into
the Pistons watch our Pistons.
And I went to the Knicks game last night. I was like, Cade Cunningham was the best player on the floor. From watching that game.
Jalen Brunson. But
I still think Cade Cunningham was last night.
He's more physically talented, probably, but continue. So, he's bigger and whatever guy.
Yeah. So after the game, I looked up Cade Cunningham, trying to just get my how's he been doing lately. I'm gonna pull up this stat. Cade Cunningham just doesn't get fouled. I gotta find the exact thing, but I think he in the last at one point he had 61 minutes played, 48 points, 0 fouls drawn.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's definitely tough for young players. It's definitely always going to be tougher for young players, especially on not just a bad team, just a horrific team that has like a handful of wins the whole season. No, listen. Like I said, I'll take the Knicks head off. Obviously, there should have been a foul called. I will, but listen, Monty Williams. I love coaches who are like, fuck the fines. I'm gonna get on this mic and talk my shit, and basically say fuck you, and fuck you. You guys all know it's a travesty. You
What
all
does
know
he have to lose?
You all know it's bullshit.
It's not going anywhere.
You all know they fucked us, and they're gonna, and the NBA is gonna, which they did. They're gonna send their little note saying, "You're right. The call should have been made," but they're not gonna change the outcome. They're not gonna do anything like that. They've set that precedent. A similar thing happened with the Knicks and the Rockets game, where they called a foul on Jalen Brunson on a three at the last second, which clearly just was not a foul. He makes free throws. The Rockets win. Knicks lose. Knicks try to protest the game. I think they might haven't even determined it yet, but you know they're not going to change it, obviously.
You have 48 hours to protest the game, so.
I think they did. I think they did protest it, but obviously they're not going to. Like, I think they filed it, but they're not.
Dudes, that's
not going to overturn it.
That's a great stat. That's actually
56
incredible.
points.
Yeah.
61 minutes, 0 fouls. So
That's-
then
crazy.
he got teed up because he wasn't getting foul calls last night.
And,
And then there's one
That
more.
is crazy.
And also, you're saying last second fouls or no foul calls against for the Knicks against the Rockets.
It was they called a foul that
Yeah,
clearly
yeah,
shouldn't have been.
yeah. But either way, Rockets and then the Pistons. How many wins combined do the Rockets and Pistons have this year?
I mean,
Not a lot.
Rockets have more than
Not a lot. Maybe the Knicks, who are the 4 seed right now, and
Correct.
yeah. Maybe they should distance themselves
Well, I mean,
against the worst teams in the league.
Our
in
best
the
player has a
final
shoulder
minutes.
injury,
I don't-
Smitty.
Thanks to who?
Thanks to Miami.
No, well, no.
Are you
Or
serious?
your second, your second or third best.
A
Player.
second best player has a shoulder injury, yes.
Oh, what
third best is an elbow.
Yeah, what about the elbow injury? How'd that happen?
Oh, Frank.
Exactly.
But I'm saying you can't make fun of shoulder injuries. Those are serious things.
No, shoulder injuries are serious.
also the Rockets are like they're bad, but they're not like listen. The Pistons.
They're not Pistons bad.
They're not like Pistons bad. They're just like not a playoff team, but
I
they
thought-
have some good players on the Rockets.
They were one of my favorite teams to watch at the beginning of the year.
I mean they've spent a lot of money. They signed Van Vliet. They signed Dylan Brooks. They brought in some decent guys, but
Ev, this is the second part of my corruption.
okay.
Is this tweet from Fred Katz. If you thought that no call was home cooking, there's a deeper element to this. This game was actually initially supposed to be in Detroit. The NBA moved it so the Knicks could have an even number of home and road games because the in-season tournament messed up their ratio.
Interesting.
But that's fair, a fair point. Going off kind of his reasoning for the change, the Knicks also got shot where they've had to play the Bucks like all these games,
Yeah.
as opposed to just have to play like one of the best teams in the league, one of the favorites to win the finals. So things evened out. I understand listen. Obviously, there should have been a foul called. The Knicks, I agree with Smitty, should not be in like 1 point games, whatever, with the Pistons.
That was just so outrageous.
And they did have a bit.
It was.
They squandered it in the fourth quarter. They had it. They had like a decent lead. They blew it. They blew it towards the end. They made the play to win it. Whatever. It was worth talking about. Obviously, the reffing just in general has become a big thing. I feel like the reffing. I'm glad. So on the Pat Bev pod, Roan asked Richard Jefferson about if he thought the reffing was getting better or worse over the last decade. He said he thinks it's getting worse, and they're going in like the wrong direction in terms of the way they're calling games. And I think part of what he was pointing to was the point that Dukes made, like Cade Cunningham, where like guys are getting like favorable calls, or there's certain good players that aren't getting calls for whatever reason, whether it's the team they're on or just maybe just the way they whatever reason.
Iverson was on Shaq's podcast, and Shaq asked him how many points he'd score in today's league, and Iverson said during his highest scoring year, I think he averaged 33, and Kobe averaged 35. He lost the scoring title to him. In today's NBA, Iverson would average 43.
I think he would score. I mean, he would score a fuck ton. I mean, the way they were able to hand check, and especially a smaller guy physically like him. I mean, the quickness advantage he'd have over pretty much every guard in the league. And I mean, there's so many players now we talk about. And Jalen Brunson plays like high IQ defense, but he's always going to be like liability's probably too strong for him, like effort and all that. But he's a 6'2" guard. That's not like freakishly athletic. Like that guy, those guys are always going to be, and the point guard on the other side is always going to be like half the league. I mean, you're going to see like Steph Curry's and just all these other point guards that are so good. I mean, it's tough to guard these guys, so that's become a big thing with point guards not being able to play defense and stuff. But I mean, the quickness advantage he would have without them being able to like just D him up physically, pause would be crazy, absolutely crazy. So I agree with you there. So I wanted to get into a few different things today. We said we're going to talk we'll talk some baseball futures. Before that, I wanted to talk a little bit quick quarterback stuff, getting running back stuff coming up. I was telling Smitty that if you look at the running back, like the free agent running back class, it's fucking outrageous. Here, this is the running backs who are. It's basically they're not going to get tagged. They're going to be free agents. Here are this crop of running backs. It's literally like the top, like all the best running backs in the league. Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, Tony Pollard, DeAndre Swift, and then a couple sleepers, Zach Moss, J.K. Dobbins. All going to be free agents this year. Mm-hmm. Not exactly, I would say, if you're an agent of an NFL running back, I would say not exactly the spot you'd probably want to be in with all these guys being available mixed with just how much the running back market's falling off.
It's amazing how much it's changed in 20 years. 20 years ago, Sean Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson, like these guys are the most sought-after players in the league. Now, Derrick Henry's fresh off, when was this 2,000-yard season? 2 years ago?
Yeah, two or three.
2 or 3 years ago? And now, like, and I don't necessarily blame teams or GMs because it's kind of been proven that you can get by with winning a championship with a, quote, lower caliber running back or somebody drafted late or somebody fresh off the streets. But it is surprising to see, like, Derrick Henry and Saquon in the same free agent class and not really being talked about.
Well, because now it's like, especially I think Jacobs and Saquon are at a very similar spot where they got tagged last year. Or actually, I think did Jacobs did he get tagged last year?
I don't know.
I think he might. I know Saquon, I know for sure did. And they're in a spot this year where it's both basically public. They're not going to get tagged. They're both coming off like good, like Jacobs was the year before and Saquon the year before coming off better season. Jacobs was coming off like he literally led the league in rushing. Was coming off an insane season. They have the new coach, whatever. Or when he first was coming off the big year, and they don't know what they're going to do. They didn't want to give him the money right away. I'm saying before, like last season, they want to give him the money right away. But even like Eckler, like what a full circle moment where the whole reason with Gordon, like he was literally he was the like the shoe on the other foot, just like 3-4 years ago, where he's the new running back that was undrafted from like Northern Colorado, came in where they had the two back thing going on, the committee, and Gordon's holding out for more money, and they're like, we have Eckler, we'll just give him for 4 years, like $24 million instead of giving you 4 for $60. And then now Eckler's the guy saying, give me more money. And they're like, we're good.
Is it really just McCaffrey and the rest at this point?
I would say so in terms of, like who else? Like,
in terms of being like invaluable to a team.
Yeah.
And even then, McCaffrey goes down, they could put Elijah Mitchell in there.
That's what I'm saying.
Just,
he was having a big season before they like picked him up, and like the year before was playing well.
Look at Mostert led the league in touchdowns last year for the Dolphins.
That's what I'm saying. Like he was very good on San Fran as well. Kind of finally got to lead a backfield, and all of a sudden he's great. But even like look at the Dolphins, where like they're not going to pay him Mostert.
No,
they drafted Achane in the 3rd round. Mm-hmm. And you could say things like he was out a big chunk of the year for health, but I mean when he played, he was incredible. And when he played,
he might have been the best running back I've ever seen.
A true home run.
Like hitter. he would just take a ball and go 80 yards.
A home run hitter. And there's not a ton of those in the league right now. It's a running back. I mean,
you see. Look at the Chiefs. Like they draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the 1st round. He flames out and sorry, you got Pacheco.
In the 7th.
Yeah, in the 7th.
He's your guy.
Fly in, and you're just the best running back on the team.
It is crazy, though, like, even, like, for, like, Pollard, I think that people saw him as, like, the 3rd down back with the Cowboys. They're like, he should get 1st down reps. Not saying he wasn't better than Zeke, but Pollard gets time to shine. Wasn't that good this year. Zeke goes to the Patriots and actually was pretty good for the Patriots.
Yeah, was solid.
It's just weird how that works out sometimes.
Well, he was limited more than what he was expecting.
For sure, he wasn't the number 1 back, but like he was.
Even playing hard.
When Stevenson went down, like I thought Zeke was like crazy to say, like a bright spot in the Patriots.
He was. He played well.
It's just weird how that works out. Like Pollard, like how much is Tony Pollard worth? Feel like
I don't think any of these guys are going to be like worth. None of these guys are going to get what they want.
Which is amazing because the Eagles just blatantly didn't use DeAndre Swift in the free agent year. Like, why wouldn't you just run to the ground?
I wonder if he will.
wait. They had fucking Kenny Gainwell out there on huge third down plays when DeAndre Swift is just nowhere to be found.
I wonder if that'll go into his decision making of like him wanting to go to the Eagles or like wanting to go somewhere else.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all.
And going up the Tony Pollard thing too, I saw some stat and Duke's made a good point. It is crazy the way a guy like he comes on the year before last year, he shines crazy. Everyone's like, oh, like why is Zeke getting any touches?
Right.
He's way better running back. Then all of a sudden he's the bell cow. He was the least. I saw some stat. He was like the least efficient running back inside the 5 scoring, like in the league by far. Was like basically if you want to not score, give him the ball inside the 5.
Yeah, he was.
And Zeke was one of the most efficient short yardage backs there was, even as he was declining. Because I mean, when he came in the league, he was a legit home run hitter speed wise, and obviously he lost a few steps. Yeah, this was the stat. 31 times inside the 10-yard line, scored 5
down
times.
A lot of fantasy.
The worst rate in the last 4 years of scoring from inside the 5 or inside the 10. Bad, just bad. So I wonder what they're going to do with him. I mean, and they're in this weird spot too where, I mean, Rico Dowdle, when he played well for, they drafted Deuce Vaughn, who I love, was at Kansas State, was awesome.
Such a great football name.
Just spark, dude was a
Deuce
total
Vaughn.
spark plug. And his dad's a coach for the Cowboys. It was that great story. He got to like call him, basically be like, you want to come to work with me? Great moment, a little tearjerker for the family people out there.
Deuce Vaughn's just a Super Bowl winner. I hate to say that because he's on the Cowboys, but Deuce Vaughn.
He's a guy who like
Deuce Vaughn will win a Super Bowl.
He's a guy who's like the third down back in the team, and then like has like breaks like a big run, score, and then like scores like a touchdown somehow like in the Super Bowl. Hopefully not for the Cowboys because that would break my soul.
So we all know how easy it is to. Oh, I wouldn't say easy, but it's of all the positions, finding a running back in the draft is probably the easiest way. Like Isaiah Pacheco, 7th round pick, 2-time Super Bowl champion. Shout out Clemmer, who runs like him. With the salary cap spiking to $250 million, teams may be more inclined to splurge on running backs in free agency, though.
They might, but I think.
Would you want to splurge for a Derrick Henry at this point? Like, would you want to?
I feel like he's in a spot where, I mean, everyone's the team with him. Everyone's been saying the Ravens.
Who do you splurge for? Who do you give a big contract out of that list?
I think Saquon gets McCaffrey money.
I don't think so.
I don't think I wouldn't give
you
it
think
to
from
him.
another team? You think
from another
pays
team?
him like
I
that?
think I could see Houston doing that.
But I think the teams are going to see, and I love Saquon. I think other teams are going to see the like kind of his a little bit of injury history, which is just common among running backs. And it's crazy to think he's been around for a little bit. I mean, he's been in the league
2018 draft
6 years.
So yeah,
he's in 6 full seasons.
You know the running back I would take a shot with. I mean, he's not going to get Saquon money, but on that list, the most
I think I know you're
proven talent, Dobbins.
I was going to say Zach Moss. I mean, he played so well. Like
he did play. He did play well. I mean,
Jonathan Taylor was out,
and he's not going to get a huge contract. But I mean, Dobbins has by far the biggest upside. If J.K. Dobbins can stay a half a season healthy, he is a top 5 running back in the league.
Gus Edwards, don't count him out. He's really good.
Short yardage back. He'll help somebody.
I agree with Meek. But what about Nick Chubb as like the indispensable like McCaffrey back? I know he's like obviously got like some injuries to him, but is he someone as a running back that you view as valuable with the money?
Absolutely.
Does he still have the highest yards per carry in NFL history?
The Evo stat?
I think.
He's earned it.
Yeah.
I really hope he hasn't, because he had a gruesome knee injury, and I really hope that doesn't take a step, because I mean, that knee was really bent the opposite way. That was disgusting, and I hope he's good, because I mean, he is special, and I love that he's kind of become Ebo's guy, but I also champion. I mean, he's definitely one of the best. But even and so with them, look at
Nick Chubb
he
and
left.
Derek
They still
Carr,
were good.
Those guys.
Yeah.
But even Chubb leaves, and they're still good. Like they're still a playoff team. Like they still make a crazy run. They're not like they're able to win without with Jerome Ford.
But even Ford put up numbers for him.
Shout out
That's
to
what I'm
Ford,
saying.
my fantasy champion.
Congrats, Meek. I saw a little Lisa Anares that got her all slid off her seat when she heard that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's just that's why it's stuff like that I think like a guy like even Saquon over, like no one will buck up for him the way he wants.
And I don't blame teams.
What do you think? Like well, Saquon. Like, what do you think if it's not the Giants? What do you think the contract for him looks like from another team?
I think a fringe team would try to make.
We'll say Texans or like.
I don't even think the Texans would do it. I don't. Think
But I'm saying we'll just like.
I think a team like
that it would even remotely make sense.
I think like the Raiders would make a splash for him.
But you don't think they would just re-sign Jacobs? Like they would just want to bring back their guy?
No.
You don't think so?
I think so.
I think the money they would command would be similar.
I think Saquon's more of a name.
I think it was Art Stapleton said the Eagles or Cowboys could give Saquon like the highest 1-year deal like possible, like on like 1 year, $25 million or something.
But he's not gonna. No one's gonna give him $25 million for a season.
That's me pulling a number.
He's not
going
to be used that way. Like he just.
But it's only 1 year is what I'm saying.
know.
Well, that's because I think realistically,
It's kind of impossible to be an every down back who deserves that type of money in the game.
And Saquon would be like he's the guy who truly is like a game changer. I think Saquon gets something like 2 years, like $20 million. Like I really think that's where he kind of tops out. I don't think that I'm not saying it's wrong. I just think that's kind of what is going to happen. That's me guessing, but
I think he's if we're talking about like closest to McCaffrey and like being able to
pass and catch
out of the backfield, worth the money for sure.
To be an impact player, yeah,
for sure.
He's the most probably on that list. On this list, him or Eckler, you could say the most versatile.
Eckler's washed beyond belief.
You think Eckler's washed?
He's not a good football player anymore.
I would disagree with that, but
you talk about it in a salary cap league.
Washed is a big state. I don't know.
No, he just can't run anymore.
He was on the team. They stunk.
But in a salary cap league in 2024, would you rather have a running back as one of your top 3 contracts on the team, or would you rather spread it around?
I think guys would rather buck up on receiver.
Yeah.
Where I think you'll see a team like the Panthers throw like a ungodly offer at like a Mike Evans. I don't know if he'll take it, but I'm saying I think they'd rather throw like $30 million a year at Mike Evans before they throw like they throw like $60 a year at like a running back.
With the Caps, it's funny. Like you can throw quarterback money at Mike Evans, and they'll be like, "Oh, we have all this cap space. We got to use it."
That's in a team like I could see a team like the Panthers where they're like, "Fuck, it does 2 things. One, it gives our young quarterback like a big, strong,
another guy to not throw the ball
to,
yeah,
a guy to throw the ball to, or at least try to.
Yeah, not throw the ball to.
And then it also obviously takes him away from a rival, which obviously in division, if you're trying to build like your team, the whole point of like building a team like that is your goal is to win the division, beat the other best teams. The Bucks have been the most consistent team the last like 4 or 5 years, whatever you want to call it. So I feel like guys will throw more money at the receivers.
100%. You have to splurge on a receiver. You need a number 1 wide receiver, I think.
Because they need bad. Like obviously, Evan Thielen is like a nice like veteran guy, but they need like real
for sure.
They need a legit like a guy that when in doubt you can kind of just throw the ball to for better or for worse.
Yeah, they need a DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Good one.
That would help for sure.
I just want to say this,
what happened to Robbie Anderson?
Oh, he just
He just stinks.
Just wait.
The chosen one, Robbie Chosen.
He's how Meek described Austin Eckler. That's Robbie. Yeah. I think he's changed his name to like Robbie World Peace.
Yeah, it's like Chosen One or Chosen One or Robbie Chosen, something like that.
So we know the Bears may take Caleb Williams, and I'm just like thought this in my head. If Bryce Young was just a better quarterback last year, Justin Fields could have a long career in Chicago. It's not even a thought that like they could trade him.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I brought the 4 best quarterbacks and just thought like who think realistic realistic best fit. Because I had thoughts for Fields said he's a free agent, but we just know he's going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, he'll be traded for like a second.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think I'm wondering how that's going to heat up like draft because it's any team that drafts him. I think is if you trade for him, you're not going to draft a quarterback. I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
The Falcons for him I just think they make too much sense.
Does Russell Wilson go somewhere before the draft or after?
I think before. But who knows? I guess. Because him I wrote down I think honestly the best fit, and this is all if Kirk Cousins to go back.
Let's go.
Why the Vikings? I think if Kirk for me, so I'll go Kirk Cousins too. I thought Kirk Cousins Broncos is like the best fit of like a.
That's interesting.
I just and I think it'd be funny because I really think there's a real possibility that they could end up just literally swapping quarterbacks without trading them. But I just looking at all the other teams at Kirk Cousins, I don't know another team that would like realistically actually sign him and give him money that would be a better fit than just the Broncos. They have some offensive playmakers. Their defense isn't terrible. They're in a spot where I think they feel like they can compete and win. Whether people agree with that, disagree with that, I think in-house that's going to be their mindset. And I think Kirk Cousins is in a spot where he's 36, so you don't have to commit to him like crazy long term. I think he'd be more than willing to sign like a 3, probably 3. I was a 3-year deal.
Are we giving Kirk Cousins too much credit here?
No, not enough.
But coming off an injury, and we've seen quarterbacks, specifically Colts quarterbacks in recent history, just like get signed and then nothing. I mean, Matt Ryan fell off a cliff.
Phillip Rivers was good that 1 year with the Colts.
Was he?
He made the playoffs. He was solid.
They actually should have beat the Bills in that playoff game, but he was like good, but
he was Phillip Rivers.
He definitely had his moments of. He obviously wasn't the Phillip Rivers of like with the Chargers, Phillip Rivers, but he was still like all right.
My thing about the whole what you're going off of Smitty though, like being like also like can he come back from injury? Is he just gonna like fall off this cliff? I can't wrap my head around the idea that people are doubting Kirk. I mean, I guess people are doubting Kirk Cousins coming back from injury, but then Aaron Rodgers is like, oh, look at me, I'm not walking without crutches, and everyone's like, oh, he's fine. Like the torn Achilles, like he's going to be just the same player that he came back as. The narrative surrounding both of them, like coming back from injuries, I feel like is totally different.
Smitty, you're trying to have a Max Kellerman, Kirk Cousins take? You're going to say he's going to fall off a cliff and be a bum in short order? Go viral?
Well, I'm not comparing Kirk Cousins to Tom Brady. And then Tom Brady wins another 5.
Give me a couple of beers, I might.
No, and there's
I'm not going to be mad you just said Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins in the same sentence, even though I knew exactly what you meant.
Yeah.
And
Aaron Rodgers is better than Kirk Cousins.
But there's obvious correlations for that. I mean, Aaron Rodgers did it a little bit more publicly at the beginning of the year. I mean, Kirk Cousins did it midway. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is a bigger name, both in and out of football, than Kirk Cousins. And I don't know. Kirk Cousins was never an MVP, and he's been a very above average quarterback. And I don't know. 36 ain't young. It just isn't.
It's not.
If you deep dived into his stats, I think that you would be shocked. And like, I think his stats last year, if he was on pace, like he could have been like MVP talks.
If they played better, probably. If they played
started
better,
like
like
5.
Right.
Yeah, they just
but
lost.
Like his pure stats.
His stats were good, but they were a lot of it because they were losing.
It's hard to win MVP on like a 10-win, 11-win team. You got to.
Well, 11 win. I think you can. It's tough to win it.
All right, bring it out. Bring it out, Ev. Bring out that stat you were talking about.
Which one?
We're comparing now. MVP this year, the Tyrod Taylor in 2000.
Oh, I just seen this. I'd seen this graphic. It was on Instagram. I'm just basically comparing Tyrod Taylor's 2015 season to Lamar's last year, and it's literally like Lamar was just like a little bit better everywhere. His QBR was actually worse. He threw for like 500 more yards. He ran for like 250 more yards.
As
4 more touchdowns.
As a Lamar
MVP, I think 5 more combined touchdowns.
As a Lamar MVP defender,
one more interception.
It's a little tough. It's a little tough as a Lamar MVP defender. I mean, different teams, and also, I mean, it's obvious Lamar's more of he's more of a threat. He just is more of a threat to do stuff which opens up things than Tyrod Taylor in 2015.
All right, here's my Max Kellerman take. Is he more of a threat or is he more of a name?
Fair point.
Oh God.
That comparison threw me for a loop.
I was saying to Smitty before we started that I think this is gonna be one of those MVP seasons where if someone that's like 5 years old right now, if you show them the stats in like 20 years when they can grasp it, and you didn't watch you saw the stats, they're gonna be like, how the fuck did Josh Allen not win this MVP? He threw a lot of picks, but he threw like all these touchdowns, all these yards, ran for a bunch of yards, touchdowns. But if you watched it in real time, it was such a weird MVP season, obviously, with like Purdy makes this run, then he has this atrocious game against the Ravens. He goes from like minus like 1,000 to just like off the list. Then Lamar kind of just falls.
That's kind of what it was, though. It was that game. It was 49ers-Ravens, and the Ravens went.
And Josh Allen was so bad early on that he just was able to came up short to do enough from like getting it back. He played so bad through all these picks and then had like a phenomenal last half of the season. He was incredible. And then obviously like Mahomes has kind of a weird down year where he throws more picks than usual. Offense isn't as good as usual.
It's the worst year of quarterback play we've had in recent years.
For sure. And then
Aaron Rodgers had torn.
I thought there was, and then I think almost that Purdy.
Brady retired.
Purdy being in the conversation hurt McCaffrey ever getting any steam for him possibly winning because I thought he probably had an MVP caliber season numbers wise. So just gonna look back one of those weird years where like the MVP didn't even throw for 4,000 yards. He had 24 passing touchdowns, which is like good, but not like just knock your socks off.
Throwing for 4,000 yards is hard. The Bears have never had a QB do that.
Yeah, that's true.
I
was planning this morning. I can't wait till Justin Fields gets traded
And throws for 4,000 yards.
And then I can make a statement as the number one Justin Fields rider on the internet about basically saying respect to the Bears organization, but I can't wait till everyone just realizes it was not his fault. It was all your fault.
I know you like Atlanta for him, but Pittsburgh is kind of enticing.
So they were the other one I had like written down. I also think they're a possibility for Russell Wilson if they decided that Kenny Pickett's like not it. I think he's okay. I don't think he's like horrible, but I don't think that's what you want to be characterizing your franchise quarterback. It's just not horrible. I think you'd rather be like he's good. Obviously, I want to like go win us games, not just like be a guy who. I mean, he honestly was doing like his version of the Tim Tebow thing for a little bit there, where they would just not score at all, and then they'd be down like 10-6, and then he would score like 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and they just win like 20-14 or 20-17 or whatever. Yeah. But one fit that I actually think is perfect, who I think is like
I think Wilson's going to the Steelers.
It would make sense. I think him or Fields.
I think Tomlin wants a established quarterback. No offense to Fields, but I think
actually
Tomlin
weirdly people might totally disagree with this, but I actually think Fields would be more of like a Steeler player than a lot of people would say. Just like knee-jerk
100%. No. I think Pittsburgh would love him.
He's tough,
yeah.
Gritty. People think he's like because he runs well. He's flashy. He's a tough, gritty, strong.
I think for what Mike Tomlin wants for this team, I think it's Russell Wilson more than Justin Fields.
You might be right. You might be right because they might not want to put like 2 young quarterbacks kind of together to battle it. They might go veteran, maybe helps like kind of push Pickett along. Or
it is weird because also like Justin Fields hasn't made the playoffs, and it's like Kenny Pickett. I know it was like in and out. Like you had Mason Rudolph like sub in for Minshew, but like did lead him basically to the playoffs. I know it's like a weird
like sort. This was a weird year. They had like 3 quarterback start games.
Exactly.
It was kind of a weird.
Okay, but the Steelers
and the Steelers weren't. Yeah, they like obviously no one knew they were gonna like win a championship.
They're one of the worst playoff teams in recent memory.
But
last 2 years they probably have.
Because every week you'd look at the Steelers, and be like, okay, they're getting outgained. They're not scoring. Yet here they are. They're down 3 with 2 minutes left. Here they are. They're going to win this game somehow.
But with Kenny Pickett, would you guys agree that he's a friend of the program? I think he's a good quarterback. He is good enough to start, but not good enough to be the future right now.
Yes,
he's a guy.
That's he's in that like.
I think he'd be right.
I think he's in that like 17 to like 30 group where he's like.
He's in a tough spot. He's in a tough spot to be a franchise quarterback.
I mean, you could. I mean, all right. So I would say like 17 to like 25.
17 to 30 is a wide range.
My point was just saying like a starter. Like even the 30th guy technically is a starting.
I know.
Caliber.
I'm saying like 17 is like average. 30 we're like Zach Wilson. Right?
Well, I think he's like.
They'll take him.
I think Right, so I'll say 17 to like 20.
He's better than Nathan Peterman out there.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like he's decent, but I just think he's a game manager probably.
He's not somebody you would throw your franchise behind right now.
No.
My question,
he might be though.
My question for you guys is: I'm looking at the odds right now because we're on the topic. The Super Bowl champion. Who would you guys pick? And going off that one sleeper, like the Steelers or some teams that we talked about that you could see making a move that will become a different price come by like the NFL draft.
I would say a team that I believe that can make like a super long shot would probably be I would say there's 2 that stick out to me. I think if the Bucs like re-signing Baker and getting the defense a little better, obviously, and re-signing Mike Evans, if they can do that and improve the defense with draft or whatever, I think they're a team that can be like a potential contender for real. And I would say, I think if the Falcons get a quarterback, they can be, considering just how I'm talking to 2 guys from the same division. That division is just very winnable. I think those are the 2 that stick out to me the most, and I think they can actually like get close. The Chargers, I mean, not to give Harbaugh to him, but I mean if he can.
Oh, Herbert MVP.
If they can put that, if he can put the puzzle pieces together, the Chargers. I mean, I think they're going to be like the sexy pick. Yeah. But I mean, I think 25-1. I think they're worth you. Like
I got 3 on here, and I like that Bucs plus 7,000, even though I hate it. The Browns plus 3,500.
Yeah.
That's still. That's a lot. That's a lot for a team that was like right there last year, and with their
obviously.
quote franchise quarterback still coming back healthy. They're getting up there, but the Rams kind of proved it last year.
Yeah, Rams
Well,
too.
that was
Yep.
exactly what I was going to say.
Rams
At
too.
at 3,500. And I'll tell you what, man, they underachieved so much last year. It makes me like them a lot this year even more. The Jaguars.
Oh my God, Smitty, we're on the same page.
Yep.
Like they could, I could see the Jaguars just turn it on and get the number 1 seed some way somehow. Like I mean, it would take a lot. It would take a lot out of Lawrence. Lawrence will have to play at a close to his potential, which is MVP caliber. But that defense and I still believe Doug Peterson can motivate and coach them the right way to be a championship team. They're too talented to repeat what they did last year.
My chalky-ish pick is the Bengals.
I love the.
Yeah.
I'll always
I
be
love-
like. I love the
1,300.
Bengals.
Why not?
Yeah, that's my. I think that.
I think
that's just my pick to win the
I
Super
think
Bowl.
Burrows is a winner.
Yeah, and I think he's the only person that can beat Mahomes.
Meek is. I don't like the faces Meek is making when you said the
Burrow's
Bengals.
kind of he's starting to get overrated, I think, for that playoff run.
What?
What are we talking about?
What do you mean?
He was like one play away from making the Super Bowl again.
But he didn't.
That,
I mean,
that is such an easy rebuttal.
Meek said, like you can say that about anything. Like all right, but they
I don't know.
didn't, like,
He's had one good playoff run. I just want to like pump the brakes.
two. I would say two.
No,
good
it was
playoffs.
one.
I
Two.
would say it was two.
How are we gonna say it's two? He won what? Didn't he? Who did he beat in the second playoff run?
The Ravens and they beat who they beat. In
Okay,
the
so they
second
beat
round.
Tyler Huntley in a game that they probably should have lost.
They won- but they
But
didn't.
they won.
But they didn't.
But they won.
quote
went
you,
into,
but
they went
they
into
didn't. They
they went
won.
into Arrowhead.
And then they beat the Bills.
They went
so.
into they went
Yeah,
into,
and then then they smacked the Bills in Buffalo when their whole offensive
DeMar
line
Hamlin was in the
snow.
stands.
In the snow, they smacked them with their whole offensive line being out.
I don't know, I'm pumping
and they beat them. They beat the shit out of them.
I'm pumping the brakes.
And then
on
lost a
Burrow,
very
though.
close game at Arrowhead.
They should have won,
to the
probably.
Chiefs. Yeah, that ended up winning the Super Bowl.
yeah.
I give more credit.
And even people like I think I brought this up the Super Bowl after the Super Bowl like last year. No, people talk about that Eagles play where he tugged the jersey. Bradbury tugged the jersey.
Yeah.
The year before, the Bengals had like a very similar play where Logan Wilson got called for such a bullshit call that
Bengals got hosed.
Yeah, the Bengals got hosed where the Rams were still in field goal range. They would have tied the game. But I mean, obviously, totally different game where they tied her. Now the Bengals get the ball down 4 with like a minute to score, they didn't. Granted, they didn't. But
I give more credit to the Bengals defense than I do for Burrow for that run. That's just me.
it's insane. I mean, he was special the whole like.
I'm not saying he's
every-
bad. I
every
think he's a top
season's-
5-ish, 6-ish quarterback.
That's fine.
I see where Mika's coming.
I mean,
because the
no, I
defense
don't.
that's
did
fine.
ball
I think
out.
he is like.
We all have shitty
But
takes. That
I
we
think
all, we
he's
can't
like.
get
I think
over.
he's like top 3. Like anything else.
Top
like whatever-
3?
Yes.
I think the
Top
defense.
quarterback?
I think the defense being that great for that run
Like
So you're
should not
taking-
discount Burrow's ability.
So wait. You're taking Burrow. You have at 3, and who you have? At
I
2?
even argue even maybe 2. But
I
3.
have-
So you're taking Burrow over Josh Allen.
Yes.
I'm debating it.
That's insane.
I'm debating
I
it.
personally
That's
am.
insane to me.
I'm debating. I think those are the only 2 that I'll even like be like, all right, fine, you can have those 2 above him. Who else?
I was gonna say Mahomes, Josh Allen,
Yeah,
Lamar.
sure.
That's my 3.
But yeah, I'm a huge Lamar guy. I'm taking Burrow over him 10
I-
times out of 10 every day. But for me, Lamar's he's probably 4. He's probably 4. But I'm taking those 3.
Oh, while we're on the subject, I kind of like the Bills plus 1,000 to be honest.
Yeah, honestly,
Because in my mind, the Bills will have the better quarterback in every game outside of when they play the Chiefs.
or the Bengals maybe.
Yeah, but the Bills still have the inferior coach.
I mean, I think the
No
Bills
matter
have
in
the
any
Bills, too.
situation.
The Bills are just the Bills to me, and I think that
How many times have the Bills like had chances to prove themselves and they can't? They just can't.
Listen, the only thing I will say,
That Bengals loss should have been the end of McDermott.
that was bad, and that was in the snow in Buffalo.
And he's riding another 2 years after that.
Yeah. They were in a bad place this year too. I just wanted to say this real quick, just talk about the quarterback stuff. We're going down a tier here, but I think the best fit in like NFL history is Minshew to the Raiders.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's a perfect Vegas
on,
guy.
on like every level though, and just not even like just him as a person. The Raiders fit. I think he would be great under Pierce, and he's that perfect level of quarterback where he's good, but he's not like your future. You know, like he can win games. He literally was this close to taking team to the playoffs. This
Yeah,
past
but
year.
there needs to be a backup plan.
No, but he's
Or a future.
No, he's the perfect guy to sign while like drafting a young quarterback
Yes.
or something like that. I think he's like the perfect like say they're a team that goes with like McCarthy or they're a team. Listen, I don't like Bo Nix or Penix. I'm out on them. and that just showed my unbiased that I actually am like warming up to the idea of McCarthy
I
a
like
little bit.
Penix. I just worry about his injury history.
Bo Nix, I don't
Bo Nix,
touch
I don't
him.
like in general.
I think he was a screen merchant. Like, don't touch a guy like that. Just half his passes were fucking screens. Like, I just don't think that's gonna work in the NFL.
Also, situation matters with every quarterback.
100%.
We can't pretend it doesn't.
But Minshew, I just think like the Raiders from like on like every level, perfect.
Gunslinger,
fit.
not scared to like you have Gardner Minshew. This is gonna be such a wild take, but like you have Raiders Chiefs. Like Raiders need to win this to get into the playoffs. Like it's almost like having someone like Gardner Minshew who's like I got nothing to fucking lose. Like playing.
Yes.
He has that like mentality. Like I even wanted to be like someone wanted Gardner Minshew for the Patriots. Like to be like, all right, like
yeah,
come in,
he would be
like
a fit
buffer.
there too.
Yeah.
I just think Raiders like I can just envision him.
I do too.
In a Raiders uniform. I could see that those locks flowing out the back of that silver helmet.
Look,
I see.
As a Patriots
somebody
fan, I'll
who
give it to the
had
Raiders.
Gardner Minshew as a backup and watch him start a few games, he is great. He is an awesome person. His dad is fucking electric. It is amazing to see him in there and win. He's not the best quarterback in the end, though.
I don't know.
He just isn't.
But
He just isn't.
solid, though.
He's solid, but you cannot.
You saw with the Colts, if he even has like a decent supporting
Yeah,
cast,
well, that's what you
like
need.
a
You need a
legitimate.
decent supporting cast.
But he can be
and-
like a legit starter, like a real starter.
I don't know. I think if he is a starter, he is smack dab 15 max in the league.
So let me.
I think that's great. I think
hold
that's
on.
great.
I'm genuinely curious about this. You taking Minshew or Pickett? Right now,
It's a different
start this season.
So, wait.
No,
to win one
you're with
game,
the-
or to win one game, or to have for your franchise.
one season. One single season.
I'm probably going Pickett because you still don't know exactly the ceiling with Pickett. You know the ceiling with Minshew.
You know the floor of
I want you
Minshew.
guys to order
Yes.
Minshew or Pickett.
I'd probably go Pickett. You know what the floor is for Minshew. He was a quarterback of a team that won one game.
Okay, horrible team, but fair.
But he was a quarterback.
fair. It really earned.
And I like Minshew.
I think he's
like
good,
him.
yeah.
that team was horrific.
Minshew like first down away from the playoffs too last year. I'm going Minshew 27.
I'm taking
I
Minshew,
take it
too.
for my franchise and for my season.
It's just insane.
I might agree with you, to be honest. I'm for one season. I definitely Minshew.
I'm actually
for a career. There's definitely a debate to be had.
why are we acting like Kenny Pickett's like some like Make-A-Wish kid that like we like he could still be something.
He's not a Make-A-Wish kid.
We
but
saw 2 seasons of him, and honestly, like from what I've seen of both of them in 2 seasons, I'd much rather have Minshew.
I kind of.
They might be similar in the end, but Pickett still has a higher ceiling.
The only
I
difference
think if
between
you gave-
Minshew
I
and
think if you-
Pickett is Pickett was a first-round quarterback and Minshew was like 6th-round.
Yeah.
But
No, that's fair though. That goes into it.
100%.
That goes into it.
But I look at it like this. I think the last 2 years, if you plugged Minshew in the team that Pickett was on, I think he
He'd probably do better.
I think they probably do better.
Yeah.
I think his ability, at least I think he's been in the league longer. He's more like established, but I think he would do better now. I think if you gave Minshew that supporting cast, aka just like stalwart defense, I think they win quite a bit of games with Minshew as a quarterback.
Here's an interesting
I'm not saying they
one.
go win a Super Bowl, but I'm saying I think he takes those teams to the playoffs.
I agree with you. 100%. Here's another one that the chat's been like saying this name a lot. Do that same comparison, but for Jake Browning. Would you rather have Jake Browning or
He
or
I think
both?
he
Kenny
could be
Pickett or
okay.
Minshew?
He's one that you have to take with a grain of salt too. That he was working with like a very strong supporting cast.
Yeah.
Like when you get to throw to Jamar Chase and even Higgins, I know it was hurt a little bit.
And he also kind of
get mixed
faltered
running back.
a little bit towards the end.
Yeah.
He had some.
He had a hot start.
I listen. I think he's one of the better backups you can get, and I realistically probably think he is. He's a guy who I think probably isn't that like I bet I don't think there's probably 32 quarterbacks on the planet probably better than Jake Browning.
Yeah.
Also,
There might be like 20. That's very possible. But
and your 16 to 30 quarterback rankings, that really means like parentheses after 30, like to like 42. Because like 30 to 42 are like the same quarterback.
yeah, kind of. That's why. No, I'm glad that Meek checked me because 17 to 24 is probably more like the range. 30 is that is a huge range. Granted, but my point was more that he's like a back half starter as opposed to like a first half of the league starter.
Now, there's a lot of love, but is there any take that you guys have, like way before the NFL season starts, that's like a hot take, like a team that's gonna what's a team that's gonna take a step back?
Eagles.
I feel like that's becoming a too common of a take.
It is. It really is. But there's also so much more to go before.
Yeah. I just want to
before
like.
training. Yeah.
I think that if I could place a bet on a team to miss the playoffs,
Lions.
nope. Houston Texans.
That's not bad. Sophomore slump. Tough AFC.
Pressure.
I just-
And they're not going to take anybody, but they're not going to take anybody by surprise. But man, if they improve, though,
I think he's too legit.
Yeah,
I think
they
he's too,
improve.
like, I think accuracy is one of those things like you kind of either like have it or you don't.
Yeah.
You can obviously improve on it, but he just when you're just throwing dots out.
and when you're making
By the way, if
when you're making
anybody-
Tank Dell
Yes.
an All-Pro receiver,
Well, and listen,
Like,
Tank
and that's
Dell is
nothing
really
against Tank
good.
Dell.
Really good.
Tank Dell's
Very
really
good.
And in college, he was incredible. He was a guy I had my eye on.
Where'd
I'm
he go
glad
to college?
that-
But even like Devin Singletary was a running back. You can improve
He went
upon
to Houston, yeah.
that stuff.
If
Tank
somebody-
Dell's a stud, legit stud. He should have went earlier in the draft.
If somebody asked me like, "Oh, expand on that," like, why do you think the Texans are going to miss the playoffs? I'd be like, I don't know, just vibes. Like,
You just said sophomore. The phrase sophomore slump.
just narrative based, made up a story in my head. I was like, that seems right. Kind of, but also it's like I do think that CJ Stroud.
What about
CJ Stroud's gonna get so many MVP tickets, just like Justin Fields got so many MVP tickets last year. And I feel like when there's that year, like everybody gets the MVP tickets, everyone gets those Super Bowl tickets. Like even the Bears with Mitch the year after.
But Fields will be, or excuse me, not Fields. Stroud's will be much more warranted.
Agreed.
Like he was, he was like
made the
that,
playoffs.
like listen, that end of the year before, like not last year, the year before it. That second half of the season, Fields was really good.
Is Stroud?
I mean, Stroud was.
speaking of MVP talk, is Stroud the MVP last year if he wasn't a rookie?
No.
No.
you could. So he
You
was.
can make the argument.
You can't win MVP on a 10-win team.
He was better than Tyrod
I think
Taylor.
you
in
could. I think you
2015.
definitely can. I think you would make the argument in terms of the breaking down the true phrase like most valuable, which obviously if you did in the NFL, you would say like a Mahomes, obviously. But just considering he was on like the worst team in the league, there wasn't there was a few differences. Obviously, Will Anderson and a few, but like the main thing, they went from like the worst to like winning division. Stroud was a huge percentage of that. So based on like that argument, I think you could have made a case for him.
Yeah.
I think you should have definitely been in the top like 5 or 6.
Yeah. I mean, Duke said this a little bit ago. It's just been stuck in my head. Gardner Minshew would be an awful quarterback in the Patriots with your receivers. Like, but
Yeah, but we also have the
I don't
second.
think he'd be
We have,
great.
we have,
No,
the,
it's
we have the
fair.
second most salary cap in the NFL.
I'm just saying with the
We're-
3rd overall pick, you guys either take Marvin Harrison or trade down.
you just take the best player available.
But that would be Marvin
Marvin
Harrison.
for
Yeah.
sure.
You don't take what you need. You take. We like our GM now comes from the Packers.
Yeah.
Like family. Like his dad was like the GM, and his whole thing was like you don't pick based off what you need. You pick on the best player available, which I firmly believe in.
And that would be Marvin Harrison Jr.
How do you guys feel that that he's just not no agent, he's not running, he doing even pro day like
Well,
nothing.
he knows he's going to be the first wide receiver off the board anyway, so
That's
there's
what
no point.
That's what I said. His stock cannot get higher.
Yeah.
There's nothing he can do to get higher. Why would he have an agent for a pre-negotiated contract?
Yeah, he's either
that
go-
he knows he's going to go probably 3 or 4 overall, and he knows the exact money he's going to make, no matter if he has an agent or he doesn't. I think the smart thing basically you hire like you call it like a manager type to like negotiate your endorsement deals, and he gets it basically like he eats what he kills. He gets a piece of whatever he actually gets for you, and then you take all the football money, which I think is actually really smart. I just think there's no the rookie contracts. You don't really need like an agent for them anymore. But we want to go quick on some of the MLB futures. I don't know if you had any prepared that you liked. I had just a few that I wrote down.
We got to do a full on it. We tried to do it
Sure,
last
I
week.
think
We
we
got
just
to do
go
a
if you.
full MVP.
I've been saying it for like 2 days, so I figured we should at least give a couple that I just looked at.
Last year I was pretty on point with my preseason projections. I had the Orioles winning the East. I had the Diamondbacks making if not the playoffs, at least like improvement over 500. Said on the show, watch out for the Rangers because of Bruce Bochy. The only one I really missed out on was I thought the Pirates were going to be around 500 team, but they had injuries early. They started hot, but then lost literally every game possible. So my sleeper team this year on the bet that I really, 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 really like, I think the Reds are winning the NL Central, and it's like plus 360.
340. I had the same one.
They just feel like a Diamondbacks team from last year. They're young. They had good streaks that they didn't put together last season. They are in a piss poor division. Yes, the Cubs improved. There's no way the Cardinals are refinding that magic that they had 2 years ago.
I mean, they could.
They could, but I mean, Meek, they're an aging team. They're getting older. They haven't really improved much. I mean, they signed Sonny Gray.
How Cardinals would it be, though, if, like, Brandon Crawford has a career year at 36,
No,
Matt
it would.
Carpenter career year again?
But let's be realistic. Other than the AL Central, I mean, this is the weakest division in the league, and it's prime for the taking. And I think the Reds with De La Cruz, with McClain, like they have some starting pitching that has a lot of pop, but not a lot of results yet. That I think that they could turn the corner. I'm all in on the Reds this year, winning the division.
I did too. I wrote down that them plus 340 to win the division. They're plus like 155 to make the playoffs. I wrote both those down.
Definitely, they're over.
Yeah, the one I wrote down, the other one I wrote down from the AL. This is like a true like a insane long shot, but I think just the division stinks outside of like one team. So
You don't tell me the Tigers.
no,
Okay.
Another team in that division though,
Royals?
the Royals. They long shot,
Yeah, it's a long shot.
plus 425 to make the playoffs.
People talk about how
850 to win that division. Listen, the Twins they're the favorite. They absolutely should be.
and the Guardians
Be the heavy
should be right there.
And the
too.
Guardians are like not like they just kind of do their thing.
Shocking the Tigers are getting like this much love.
Yeah, I really think the only one I looked at as put like a long shot for a season one was that from the Tigers. I think Scooble Cy Young is like, I think he has a lot of potential. He's a big like, and obviously that's the one award that you can win with your team being shitty. Everything you can win is Cy Young. He was like 20-1 or something, maybe even deeper than that, or 17.
And Meek, people forget. I mean, people remember how bad the A's were last year. The
I was
Royals
just
were
gonna say
kind of
that.
right
the
there.
Royals won 56 games. That's why I'm like, that's a huge improvement.
They are improving.
I know the 425 to playoffs and 850 win the division is crazy. They're over 73.5 wins.
Yeah.
I like that's if you want to maybe try to fall back
so
on that.
high, 56 to 74.
There is.
I do.
It's a jump.
I think they've had a couple signings, and I obviously signed Witt long term.
Hey, them being committed is
that to me is so
huge
huge
for
for
them.
just like even just like the camaraderie and like the morale of just like the team, the clubhouse, and the fact that they're actually spending money, they're trying to like build a winning team going forward. I really think is a big deal for just the trajectory of your team in terms of just their attitude walking to work every day.
Have you seen the free agents that are still out there? I mean, obviously there's Snell and Montgomery, but like there's a lot of mid-tier guys that don't have home. CJ Crone right now doesn't have a home. Tommy Pham, nothing.
That was CJ Crone. That was one of my favorite takes of your baseball last year. It's like most underrated hitter or something.
I know. Oh,
Best hitter in the division.
Yeah, I misread it. I thought it was a hitter that was going to lead division home runs and like best hitter, whatever. That was my only like shit. And he started the season like 5 home runs.
We had Bosco MVP candidate campaigning for him.
Yeah,
I think White Sox Dave had like a rookie of the year. Some dude had Tommy John the year before.
yeah. But there are a lot of players out there that could help a team right now that just
absolutely. I mean, it's just all those big the big dominoes still got to fall first.
I guess.
And those guys will fall into place.
There is one under I really like. A's under 56.5, I believe. I don't think they're going to improve by 7 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, they signed a couple of guys, I guess, but not enough to like.
Not enough for me to say they're going to win 57 games.
Nah, probably not.
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, those are the few. Also, the other one.
Orioles over 91.5 wins. I mean, do they make it to 100 and win the AL East again? Maybe, maybe not. I don't see them being healthy throughout the year and improved in the offseason and dropping 10 games.
And they have the ammo to trade for a guy at the deadline. Like, say Dylan Cease is still out there in July. Price may be down where they can pull the trigger on that.
Exactly.
Also, the other one I had written down too, which this was to be almost like just a principle one I had written down. It's not a long shot by any means, but it almost feels like it's like you should just bet the Chiefs win the Super Bowl every year. I mean, Ohtani's plus 650 to win the MVP.
I know, but he's only hitting.
But even then, even still, like he's still hitting. I just feel like it's like
but I mean, he won. He won the MVP because he was a pitcher and a hitter over Judge.
That's true, but I feel like
he'll be up there. I mean, he's still gonna have.
I feel like
he's gonna have 40+ homers.
I think him just hitting, if he has a monster year, people will still almost get behind. Like, look at this guy. Like, he doesn't even pitch.
See, I'm kind of the opposite thinking. And Meek, let me hear your thoughts on this. I think the Dodgers are going to be so under a microscope this year and so kind of hated that I think that if you get an MVP out of that team, they better have a fucking 60 home run classic MVP year.
I don't think baseball is like that until the playoffs. Like, the regular season, people don't hate like that. That's just me.
Yeah, I would say if there are teams, like it would be like the Yankees and the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But I kind of lean. with you,
Okay, you mean tell me if Mookie Betts, maybe not Mookie Betts because he's so likable.
Like the NBA.
But that's the thing. I think his point, like the Dodgers aren't really like a super like their individuals aren't like super like hateable.
No, they're not.
Also, this is
It's more just the evil like they call
Yeah.
the evil empire. They've got their own thing going on. But I still think it's on such a lower level than like hate like the Yankees get.
like look, this is my thought. The KD Warrior era, 17-18, people would be up at 10 p.m. rooting for those teams to lose
Yeah.
where they rarely would. Who's staying up at like 12 a.m. rooting for the Cincinnati Reds versus the Dodgers besides Clemmer?
But that's
exactly what I was gonna say.
that's
Yeah,
also
yeah,
different though
makes
because the Dodgers consistently choke in the playoffs. The
That's what I'm saying,
Warriors
in the
were a
pl-
dynasty.
In the playoffs, you'll get that level of hate.
Yeah.
But in the regular season, you're not.
Because I would
it's not
say
the
I would
same.
argue like the Astros were getting more of like that kind of
Yes,
hate.
but that was because they cheated.
And that's
Exactly. But
allegedly.
rightfully so.
no, they
Oh man, what I'm gonna do this year that I'm very excited for is waiting for a team like the Astros to just like fall 2 or 3 games under 500, like after 20 games,
Yeah, but
and
then-
just live bet their
Yep.
over under.
make the playoffs with the division.
Because last year that's what happened with them. They there was a point where they just like had to play 500 ball over the last 40 games. They hit their over under, and it's just
Would you be surprised if
That's
the
lovely.
Phillies were that team that was 7 games under on June 1st again?
well, that's the way they were the last 2 years. So no, it wouldn't surprise me, except for the fact that they are trying to make that a point this year. They're emphasizing starting.
They'll play
5.
April like it's October.
Exactly. No, they kind of are because they know like you can't do that shit.
You could.
Yeah, but it's so tough to dig out a hole. They lost the division the last 2 years in April
Okay, but here's
because the Braves like just or
you're
and
not
the
gonna.
Mets.
You have to win 105 games to win the division.
Probably close.
No, East
maybe
this
I'll
year
do-
100 will take.
I was going
100
to
will
say
take the East.
100. We'll probably get 100.
Yeah, 98 to 100 will take the East.
The Dodgers have gone over their win total in 5 straight seasons.
Wow.
They have
And
the
they're,
second highest
104
win
and a half?
total ever
Yeah,
with 103 and a half.
3.5. Yeah.
Will they make it 6?
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Like they'll win 106, 107.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could
Yeah,
see,
sure, why not?
I could see 108, 109, yeah, something like that.
Meek?
Save
Yeah,
this
probably.
clip if they win 108 exactly. We'll get into picks. Your best bet and then our card for the day. Smitty, go ahead.
I'm over for my last 5, so take this with a grain of salt. Even though fuck that salt, throw it away and believe one time. We got 3 NHL picks tonight responsibly. The number 1 is the Nashville Predators and Ottawa Senators over 6.5 goals. Number 2 is the Florida Panthers -1.5 at home against the Buffalo Sabres. Also take the under in that game. The under is 6 right now. And if you want to sprinkle, if you want to get a little deadly here responsibly, I'm thinking it's a 3-0 shutout. Panthers at home behind Bobrovsky.
All right, I like it. Shut up, Bobrovsky. He was the goalie the whole time when I was at Ohio State. He was the Blue Jackets goalie. He was like their bright spot.
Yeah,
Very
he
familiar with
just
Bobrovsky.
he just leaves the Flyers.
One
and
guy that I
becomes
know.
everything that the Flyers needed over the last 60 years in the net.
All right, so I lost my unranked favorites against a ranked team. Didn't go so great last night with TCU, but we're going back today. Mississippi State -3.5 at home versus Kentucky. This is a classic letdown for Kentucky. Just shot the ball just like other godly against Bama. Beat them by 1 billion. Couldn't miss a 3. Now they have to go on the road to Mississippi State, who just plays hounding defense and has gotten much better on the offensive end. I like Mississippi State a lot, -3.5. That's my favorite play today. Also going with Ohio money line, and we're going Kansas -6.5. BYU is coming to town. BYU is huge splits in terms of road and home. Very good home, bad on the road. They're going to Kansas today. Kansas -6.5. That's Duke's got anything? I know Dayton plays tonight.
Yeah, I got a couple. I love Dayton tonight, honestly. This would be one
You
of
don't
my.
say.
Yeah, I always love Dayton, but tonight especially bounce back. I had like a week off after the George Mason loss. I think that they're going to get their head right. A little bit of a look ahead spot. We have Loyola Chicago. It's going to be a race for the A-10. So I'm going Dayton -10. I like St. Bonnie's -3.5 against Loyola Chicago for the same thing. I think Loyola Chicago on the road, look ahead spot at home against nationally ranked Dayton. I think that St. Bonnie's -3.5 is the play there. I like Houston minus 13.5 against Cincinnati. Again, just Houston can absolutely pour the brakes on people. They're at home. I just love watching them play. I love betting on them. I'm with you on Mississippi State for the same exact reason. And I'm on Georgetown plus 15.5 against Nova. Georgetown stinks.
Yeah, they
stinks. But they're not
sure
as
do.
bad as you think. And I think that Cooley has them playing like to keep the games like 10 or close and like make you think that you have a chance for a little bit. I like the number. I think that they keep this one close. Georgetown plus 15.5 against Nova.
I actually kind of like. I'm like the over in that game as well. It's 140. I like that one as well. Make sure shout out DraftKings. Find all of our picks there. Use the sportsbook. It's great stuff. Appreciate everyone watching. Tune in. Like the stream. Shout out everyone in the booth. Steve, guys in the back. Obviously, Dukes and me, Smitty. We'll see you guys tomorrow. God bless.